10 Most Dangerous Extinct Animals. You think it's scary to step foot in the wilderness of today? Just be thankful you didn't live in centuries and eras past. The animals that used to walk this earth would make the dangerous animals of today look like stuffed animals. Today, we're careful when it comes to mammals and reptiles alike. Long ago, the dangerous animals were split amongst different classes, but it was one class in particular that was the dominant threat. And which animal was the most lethal of all? He's got some earth-shattering and bone-shattering news that no other animal, living or extinct, could ever top. We'd like to give an honorable mention to the world's largest myriapod, Arthropleura, a species of millipede over 6 feet long, and the largest snake ever, Titanoboa, growing over 40 feet. You wouldn't want to come across either of them, but if we're talking about the 10 most dangerous extinct animals, then you really didn't want to see the world's largest bear, Arctodus. Yes, Arctodus was larger than any living bear and any other bear that's ever lived. You're worried about grizzly bears and polar bears. Arctodus was larger and believed to be even more fierce. When standing on his hind legs, he was 12 feet and had a maximum vertical arm reach of 14 feet. You'd have trouble escaping him even in the trees. The heaviest grizzlies are usually about 1,200 to 1,300. The heaviest polar bears are 1,700. Arctodus was over 2,000 pounds. Arctodus lived between 2.5 million years ago to 12,800 years ago, so he had overlap with our ancestors. And he didn't just have deadly run-ins with people, he hunted them too. He was vicious. That's why they also call him the bulldog bear. And as if it couldn't get any worse than this, he was also the fastest bear ever, running over 40 miles per hour with ease. Luckily for us, he went extinct, otherwise people might have gone extinct first. Saber-toothed tiger. From one ferocious mammal to another, the saber-toothed tiger is easily one of the most dangerous extinct animals, and especially one of the most dangerous in his time period. And that time period was right on top of Arctodus's time period, about 2.5 million years ago to as recently as 10,000 years ago. Our ancestors who lived during this time period had to worry about not only the largest bear ever, but also the largest feline ever. Now, for saber-toothed tigers or smilodons, there were varying sizes. The smallest were closer to the size of a jaguar, others were closer to the size of lions, and the largest even bigger than a tiger. And look at those teeth. The bite force was strong, not as strong as a tiger or jaguar, but with those 8-inch long teeth, the excess force wasn't necessary. They used to drive their teeth right into their prey, through the jugulars, sometimes even pushing through the skulls of their victims. They were ruthless, putting a big hurt on anything that looked tasty. It wasn't enough to kill them and eat them. The pain of those teeth would be unbearable. Your poor ancestors, that's 2 vicious mammals they had to deal with. But that's actually all we have for mammals on this list, because the rest of these bad boys, well, a lot of them are cold-blooded. Figuratively.
And literally.
Deinosuchus. The order of Crocodilia includes crocodiles, alligators, and caimans. The largest living species in that order is the saltwater crocodile, 20 feet long, sometimes even a foot or 2 longer. A semi-aquatic beast that you best keep your distance from. Well, he'd be crying crocodile tears if he saw his ancestor Deinosuchus, the largest species ever in this order, 35 feet long, 5 tons in weight. Even his jaws were about 5 or 6 feet long. The teeth inside were thick and robust. Some of them were rounded and blunt, adapted for crushing their prey as opposed to piercing through them. Oh boy, so death by Deinosuchus might have taken a long time. His victims really got to savor it. As if a crocodile wasn't already a nightmare, imagine seeing one that is nearly twice the size. Your ancestors lucked out with Deinosuchus. He was around from 83 million years ago to 70 million years ago, so he was extinct before people were even a thought. But for the unfortunate souls that coexisted with Deinosuchus, they'd tell you, he was lethal. The largest predator in North America at that time. And in their show, Crushing Deaths, they might have even had a minute to write a horrific journal entry detailing just how bad he was. Raptors. You've seen the depiction of velociraptors in Jurassic Park, and though it isn't quite accurate, they were still dangerous dinosaurs. They could be 6 to 7 feet long and weigh about 45 pounds. But it was his speed that was deadly, able to hit 40 miles per hour in a sprint when chasing down his prey and slashing into them. And even though Velociraptor lived 89 to 72 million years ago, it was further back in time when you really had to watch out for raptors. 129 to 122 million years ago. Utahraptors. 20 feet long, 5 feet tall at the hip, 2,000 pounds. So, take Velociraptor, put him on steroids and a strict all-protein diet, and you get Utahraptor. He was slowed down though, so prey had a fighting chance. Still, he could sprint at 28 miles per hour. Maybe Utahraptor is the one they should have put in Jurassic Park because he was savage. Mosasaurs. We had a land reptile in the raptors, a semi-aquatic reptile in Deinosuchus. How about fully aquatic reptiles? Mosasaurs. These were the lizard kings of the oceans for many, many years. There were many types of mosasaurs. Tylosaurus could reach 45 feet in length. Hanosaurus could be 49 feet long. And the king of all the lizard kings, Mosasaurus. 56 feet long. Imagine a 56-foot-long marine reptile swimming towards you in open water. 5-foot-long jaws, a mouth opening more than 3 feet wide. He'd be able to devour half of you in an instant. They preyed on anything and everything in the ocean. Even other mosasaurs. Even the larger ichthyosaur, who is not a mosasaur, but was almost as big as a blue whale. This is why mosasaurs were so dangerous, because it didn't matter how big you were, they might still take you down. However, as scary as they were, they might not have been the scariest thing in the oceans ever. Allosaurus. But before we explore the depths of the oceans, we need to talk about how dangerous the lands were. More reptiles. Dinosaurs. And one of the worst was Allosaurus. If you look at the Earth between 155 and 145 million years ago, especially in North America, Europe, and Africa, the most lethal predator was Allosaurus. Imagine a 32-foot-long, sharp-toothed dinosaur, hunting, hungry, and he's got a 2-ton body to feed. This terror was fast too, believed to be able to hit speeds of 34 miles per hour. Allosaurus was capable of getting a speeding ticket in a residential area. But who would have the gall to give this guy a ticket? That 3-foot-long head had a jaw gape of 31 inches. That's a wide opening which allowed Allosaurus to take big bites, which is why he not only ate stegosauruses, but also brachiosauruses. When he bit down, his victim felt the full bite force of 2,110 psi. For comparison, that would be in the top 10 of highest bite forces among our living animals today, just about equal to the American alligator. But obviously the bite was coming from a mouth that was far larger. But watch out if you're scared of that bite. The ones yet to come are going to get far worse. Spinosaurus allosaurus went extinct 145 million years ago, and then all the animals got a 45 million year break before things got a lot worse. Spinosaurus was one of the reasons, living from 100 to 93 million years ago. He was even worse than Allosaurus. Spinosaurus was between 45 and 50 feet long, quite possibly being the longest carnivorous theropod. He wasn't just larger than Allosaurus, he was much heavier, between 4 and 6 tons. Spinosaurus is not only believed to have an athletic, slightly slender build for a theropod, making him extremely agile, but it is also thought he may have been semi-aquatic. You couldn't escape Allosaurus on the land, and maybe not in the water either? Better invest in a hot air balloon. It's thought he wasn't as fast as Allosaurus, probably just moving at 20 to 25 miles per hour. But still, that's fast enough to catch many unfortunate souls. And once he did, he inflicted pain. A bite force of 4,400 psi, more than twice that of Allosaurus. That's good enough to be in the top 3 of strongest bites of animals today and comparable with that of a great white shark. Shaking in your boots yet? It's going to get even worse. Giganotosaurus. Living in this world 100 million years ago might have been the worst time, because that time frame of 100 to 93 million years ago that Spinosaurus lived during, that's the same time frame that Giganotosaurus lived in. Of the theropods on our list, he's the one that scientists are least certain of when it comes to his size. However, it's very possible he's the largest of all. Going off the information that they have, they know for a fact he could hit 43 feet long, and they know he could reach 9 tons. Even if he was 7 feet shorter than Spinosaurus, he was 3 tons heavier. That is a thick theropod. Don't think Giganotosaurus to be a fat boy, though. It was muscle. He could run even faster than Spinosaurus, 31 miles per hour. So, which evil do you choose? Slower, leaner, longer Spinosaurus who might have been able to swim? Or faster, heftier Giganotosaurus? Oh, before you make your choice, know this. Bite force, 7,900 psi. Possibly the largest skull of any theropod, opening his mouth wider than any of them. 76 teeth, each 8 inches long. And when that mouth closed down on his prey, they felt that near 8,000 pounds of pressure, equivalent to an adult hippopotamus plopping down on you. Not a good feeling. But still, that time period may have been terrorized by 2 nightmares, but neither of them matches the next guy. Tyrannosaurus rex. That's right, you had to know he'd be here. Tyrannosaurus rex, king of the dinosaurs. Much debate has been held about which theropod was the most dangerous, but most lean towards T-Rex. For one, based on the definite knowledge we have, he was the biggest and most powerful. Not as long as Spinosaurus, and similar to Giganotosaurus in that T-Rex was 43 feet long, but it's all about the muscles. Weighing 9.7 tons, he was a beast. It's believed he'd run at 25 miles per hour fairly consistently, and could be able to hit 35 and maybe even 40 miles per hour in short bursts. T-Rex hunted and killed with ease, eating whichever animals looked tastiest. It didn't matter if it had a defense system like Triceratops or Ankylosaurus. T-Rex still regularly chowed down on them. But he also liked to feast on Edmontosaurus and Hadrosaurus. Here's the kicker. All he had to do was inflict one bite, even if he only partially caught his victim. Those jaws were so powerful. At first it was believed T-Rex had a bite force around 8,000 psi, but it was later realized it was far stronger. 12,000 psi. By far the strongest bite force of any animal ever on land. T-Rex was the most dangerous extinct land animal, but the worst of the water. His bite was untouchable. Megalodon. We'd say meet Megalodon, but you wouldn't want to meet him. You'd soon after meet your death. The largest shark to ever live, Megalodon is like a great white shark that was blown up to epic proportions. A great white is about 21 feet long and 4,000 pounds. Megalodon was between 55 and 65 feet long, and he probably weighed over 130,000 pounds. So, he was 3 times the length, and he weighed almost 100,000 pounds more. A swift, muscular, powerful killing machine soaring through the oceans from 23 to 3.6 million years ago. Nothing stood a chance against Megalodon. He was the bringer of death with fins. And that bite, the only way to describe it is unfair. Nothing in history can compare to the devastation of the Megalodon bite. Let's illustrate it this way. A human's bite force is 162 psi. A tiger's bite force is 1,050 psi. A great white's is 4,000 psi. Remember T-Rex? His was 12,000 psi. The strongest bite of any living animal is the orca. 19,000 psi. Megalodon's bite force was 40,000 psi. Untouchable, unmatched, unequivocally the most dangerous extinct animal that you are so lucky you didn't have to coexist with.